Bersabeh.
James.
We are in our last episode about turning base metal into gold.
We are.
We are. Have you created any gold? I know you were excited about this whole series.
Yes.
Given it was creating gold. Have you created any gold in the last few weeks?
I have. I've done my best.
I think you have to. This is our final episode, and obviously we're not talking about literal gold. We're talking alchemically.
Yes.
Hopefully, if you've been following along, you recall this analogy for internal alchemy versus external alchemy.
Yeah.
And the goal we're creating is an awakened consciousness of who and what you are. The awakened consciousness of your full God-given potential. Just suppose you could access that fully, totally and completely, your God-given potential. How amazing would that be?
That would be a fantastic life.
It would be an unbelievable life.
Yes.
You'll also recall getting there is not easy.
No,
It's a comprehensive process of cleaning up,
growing up, and waking up.
And they have to happen in that order. Cleanup has to happen first. It's not quick fix or easy.
No,
and
it's
not supposed to be. You see, if it was easy, then everyone would be fully awake and fully actualized and fully in their God-given potential.
No.
And then what would that be? It'd be nothing. It'd be everything. It'd be everybody. It wouldn't be anything.
It'd be
unique.
nothing and everything at the same time.
That's right. It's not supposed to be easy, but it is meaningful. And we
Yes.
can promise you that. So just a mini recap, because this has been a pretty extensive series, and hopefully you've been following along. But once your body, your mind, and emotions are clean, then you can truly step into your adulthood. And we talked about this last time, leaving old childhood baggage behind.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed this previously if you missed it. You know, things like if you're not able to let go of old friendships, old relationships,
Habits.
now, then you've got some cleaning work to do.
Yeah.
You really do, because you're stuck in place. Here's the bottom line. Relationships that grow together
Stay together.
stay together.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
That's
Relationships that don't grow together,
They grow apart.
they grow apart. And so ask yourself continuously, the relationships that I'm in, are we growing together in the same direction? Because if you're not, you're growing apart. And if you're not growing together in the same direction, then you either have to separate, or one person has to choose to stay frozen in time.
Oh.
And that happens a lot, doesn't it?
That's true.
I mean, we talk to a lot of people who are in relationships, and at least one of them is frozen in time.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't really evolved forward at all because they're staying with a person
That they shouldn't be staying with.
that they shouldn't be staying with,
Yes.
that they should have left a long time ago.
Right.
And so don't be frozen in time.
No.
You know, the ultimate objective of waking up is threefold. Number one, it's the realization of the oneness with God and all things.
True.
Now, this first stage realization is mostly intellectual. It's an intellectual awareness of the truth. They say in the Toltec, they call it the interrelationship of all of life. And so this is an intellectual awareness that there's a oneness of God with all things, but there's a higher experience, which we'll call the second stage, is a higher experience of intellectual. And what is that?
It's feeling.
It's feeling. It's experiential.
Yes.
Of the oneness with God and all things. This is a tactile feeling experience far beyond mere intellectual understanding.
True.
You know, feelings are hard to describe, Bersabeh, but you've had a lot of these experiences. Can you maybe give your best shot at explaining what the feeling is of the oneness with God and all things?
Wow. That's an easy one. Thanks.
Yeah, I threw you a curveball there, didn't I? Because I wanted to take a sip of tea.
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
guess. Let's see here. Your feeling of oneness. Okay, so... Broccoli. Oh. Okay, so here is one where I think everyone would be able to relate to whether or not if you've done any cleanup work or not. And that is because in order to have these feelings to begin with, you have to have done a lot of cleanup work to get your junk out of the way so you're able to even feel those feelings.
True.
Now, let's say you have it and you have some, escape mechanisms, which could be either some kind of drugs, cigarettes, TV, music, alcohol, sex, you name it. So let's just take whatever it is that you do as an example and think about the feeling that you have once you have done that, because it gives you this feeling of fullness and contempt, even though it's a false feeling because it's stimulated by obviously something that you're not supposed to be doing to begin with. But that is the ultimate feeling, and imagine if you could feel that way 24/7 without any external usage of whatever your vice is.
That's a really good example. It reminds me of Dr. Stanislav Grof and his research. He's a psychologist, and he states that all substance abuse is a search for God.
Yes. Well, there you go.
It's a search for God. It's a deleterious search. Mm-hmm. It's not healthy. It will kill you, and yet it's a search to transcend the mundane. I am me and you are you, and this is this and that is that.
Yeah, because in the middle of doing such things, you don't have that.
Correct.
Pay attention next time you do.
Correct.
You'll notice that you're perfectly good. And so is everybody else in the entire world.
So that's the experience of oneness of God in all things. And we're certainly not advocating substances because...
No. I was just saying that so everybody could relate to it.
Or sex addiction or any of those things, because those things come back to bite you and haunt you. And if you have to use something to experience something, you will always have to use something to experience something. What you have to get to a point and become is the ability to experience it on your own.
Right. And I think, my whole point of even bringing that up is that because every single one of us that does that uses something or whatever, not even knowing that this is the feeling that we're going after, one, to begin with. Second is because this is the feeling that we're supposed to be going after.
Right.
Now, you can't get to that without any of those things, and you have to do the cleanup work.
And the growing up.
Well, right, yeah.
And then eventually you wake up.
Yeah.
There's a third stage of awakening beyond the tactile feeling experience of the oneness of God, and that's the experience of nothingness.
Well, I think that kind of...
Oh, this is hard to describe.
It's kind of the same, isn't it, as the other one?
No, it's beyond that. It's beyond that. Nothing. When you're experiencing the unity of all things, there are things, but there's still things. Mm-hmm. When you move into the experience of nothingness, there's no thing. And this is hard to describe. It's very alchemical. And the mystery teachings tell us that all things came from no thing. And that sounds really mystical, and it is. And yet, likewise, physics tells us that all material objects ultimately come from the quantum vacuum, mm-hmm. which is nothing. It's emptiness. And this experience, not intellectually, but experientially, is the ultimate waking up to the reality of what is, as well as to the reality of what isn't. When you experience these three stages, mm-hmm. you're turning your mundane base metal
into gold.
In the meantime, until you get there, keep your commitments.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on cleaning up and growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Keep doing the work. Because it promises in the mysteries. There's an axiom that states, perseverance in the great work will be rewarded. And it will.
And it's worth it.
And it is worth it. Thank you so much for a couple of moments of your day. Hopefully this is helpful. And we will see you next week. God bless.
Bye.